welcome to the 5th episode of Birkenwasser Knits. I'm Katriine Birkenwasser, and in this episode I'm going to talk about Tour de Sock, sock knitting competition or charity event, whichever way you want to look at it. I will also show what I'm working on, but that is also related to Tour de Sock. But let me get my knitting so I'm in a more chatty mood as I can work on, well, this is something that's not related to socks. This is my alignment sweater that I think I was working on during the first episode, so you can see that it's growing slowly but steadily. So, but about Tour de Sock. Tour de Sock is a sock knitting competition that is organized in a similar fashion as Tour de France, the bicycle race, and so Tour de Sock has 6 stages, so there's 6 pairs of sock to knit during the competition, and each stage is about 10 days, so you have about 10 days from seeing the pattern and getting the instructions to having a finished pair done. And as I mentioned, it's a charity event also, so it's all proceedings go to Doctors Without Borders, so you pay I believe it was $10 US to participate this year, and for that money then goes to charity. And you get those 6 sock patterns with that money, so even if you're not so much into charity, I think it's a pretty good deal also for getting interesting patterns. Yeah, but this is the 3rd year that I'm participating in the competition, so the first year I was just interested in seeing what it is all about, and during the 2nd year I then thought that I'd like to see how fast I really am. And well, the kickoff of each stage varies, so it's usually something that's doable for the organizers. So this event was started and it's still mainly organized by Sarah Bordelon, and she lives in the States, and she's in CDT time zone, which is or let's say that we in Helsinki we are 8 hours ahead. So that means that when the kickoff is like for this stage, I think the kickoff was at 8 p.m. Sarah's time. And that meant that here in Finland the kickoff was at 4 a.m. So there are actually those people who really want to win the competition. They were up and started knitting at 4 a.m. But I'm too lazy for that, so I've been just trying to get started whenever I'm up and I finished my breakfast, and then I just took a look at the pattern. And last summer there was one stage when the kickoff was in the morning finish time, so that was, I don't remember, was it 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. but I knew that I can get up early and I can have my breakfast, and then I'm ready to knit when the pattern is out. And I can just knit all day and hopefully finish or knit until I'm done with the socks. So I think I finished around midnight, so I got the pair done during the same day. But I also discovered that I was something like 4 hours behind the winner. And then I just thought that, well, there's no way I can improve my knitting so much that I could be 4 hours faster. So I once bought a t-shirt that's probably like 20 years ago in the States. It was an No Fear t-shirt that had a slogan, if you can't win, don't play. And I think that's a pretty good motto. So then I just decided that there's no way I can win, so I'll just knit in my tempo. I don't want to spend all day on the couch knitting socks, so the 10 days that the stage takes is enough for me to finish a pair, and I'll get that 1 point for finishing, and I'll still be just in it for the fun and let those faster knitters be in it for the prizes. Yeah, this year I think I was the 5th to last to finish the first round, and for the second round I think I was a little bit faster, but now it's already, the third stage started on, was it Thursday morning, so I'm nowhere near finishing, but that's okay, because one thing about this competition is that you often learn something new. So like this year, okay, let's go into this year's patterns or this year's socks. This is the first one. Which way should I show it? So this is called Plan A by Adrienne Fong, and yeah, I think you've seen at least some of this as well as I've been working on them. But with this pattern, there's it's a cuff down pattern, and there's this twisted cuff or twisted whatever that you start with, and that's something that I hadn't tried before, so that was cool. And yeah, these are pretty colorful socks. I used I Knit or Dye's Ziggy Stardust sock, so there's even some stardust. Well, it's not that sparkly, but there's enough color, and that's for each stage you are instructed on what kind of yarn you should get and what kind of, well, if there's anything else that you need. And for this round the instruction was just to go wild, so I figured this is wild enough. But I also saw some people still went wild with a solid yarn, and maybe you can even see the stitch pattern better in a solid yarn, but still it's a nice sock, nice and wild and colorful. So this was the first one. So this Plan A sock was also my travel project when we went to visit Vyborg in Russia for a couple of days, and I was knitting this on the train and also sitting in Montreux Park knitting away. And the thing is that I was working 2 at a time, and I always just do one cake and then just knit from both ends of the cake to avoid cutting the yarn and having extra ends to weave in. So if you work from 2 ends of the ball or the cake, then you'll just have one ball left and you can use that, and it's better to have one bigger ball and not 2 tiny ones. But here's what happened to my 2 at a time cake. And for the second one, and this one I showed in the previous episode as I was working on them, for this one you had to use German twisted cast on, and that's something that I knew that there is a cast on method called German twisted cast on, but I had never tried it. So yeah, so this was an opportunity to learn something new. So this was also a cuff down pattern, and you had to start with the German twisted cast on. So that's something new that I learned with these socks. And I believe I mentioned in the previous episode that the socks are really, really tiny, so I made the smallest sizes. Of course that makes sense in the competition, that you make the smallest size that's still eligible, and And now the thing is that they are really small, so they are even too small for my 6-year-old daughter. I did manage to soak, after soaking and then blocking them, I could get them big enough so that she could put them on, and I'll show you a video of her wearing the sock. But she really got upset when she was trying to take the socks off, so I don't think she's going to be wearing them too much. And the thing is that they're still like size 35 in length, so giving them to someone who is smaller would mean that I would have to maybe rip back and also make them shorter. So let's see what happens. But it's still a nice design, and I would just recommend if you work. This is the Orange sock by Susan Sjögren, and yeah, I think if you want to make it, then I would just suggest you try them on and pick a larger size if you need one. But I know that many people knitted these the smallest size, and they were happy adult feet that they got to fit the sock. So it's just me, and I'm just knitting too tight. And yeah, the yarn that I use is Rouva Silmusolmus säihkysukkis, so this is also a sparkly sock yarn. Yeah, shiny, maybe not sparkly, shiny. So here's the third pattern. This one is called Bicycle Race, and it's by Nick. And yeah, this one is with beads. So this was something new for me the first year of Tour de Sock, but now I have experience from 2 years of Tour de Sock. So I guess there's always one sock with beads. And yeah, this one has some nice cables and beads, and there's a different chart for the front and for the back, so there's a lot going on in these socks. So it's not something that you can knit while doing something else, like while talking in front of a camera. So you really need to look at the chart and concentrate while you're working on these. And yeah, I'm using the same Coop Knits socks here that I used for my Astrum sock pattern. So originally I had enough for a pair of long socks. That's what I was planning to do when I bought the yarn. But then I used a little bit of the yarn for last year's Tour de Sock competition, the Vertigo 2.0 socks, and then I knit the Astrum socks. And then I had something like 370 yards left, so I figured that should be enough for a pair of socks. But now I know that some people have been using more yarn than they expected, so I'm hoping that I have enough, because I don't really have the 420, is it the, or what is the yardage that we were instructed to have. Yeah, one more thing about Tour de Sock is that there's always a theme for the socks and for the competition. So this year's theme has been Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So it's a book by Douglas Adams, and the socks are initially named after the characters in this book. So I think was the first one. Yeah, I don't remember what the names were, but I think there was Zaphod and Marvin and Arthur, and yeah. So the names come from this book, and this is a book that I think it was originally written in the 70s and 80s. I think. Yeah, let me check. Yeah, 79 was the first one. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and then there's The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, Life, the Universe and Everything, and So Long, and Thanks for All the Fish. So these are the first 4 ones. So I had the book that is a trilogy in 4 parts, but actually there's a 5th book in the series. And now that this was chosen as the book for the theme for the Tour de Sock competition, I knew that a lot of people were reading the book again or listening to it, and it was an audio book also. And yeah, then I learned that there's actually 5 parts in the trilogy, and I knew that, okay, that means that I must have missed the 5th part. And I read this book like, I don't know, 20 years ago, so I thought that, yeah, why not read it again? So I have it now. This time this one is in Finnish, and yeah, I thought that maybe my son would like it too. It's a funny, and he enjoys fantasy and science fiction, so maybe he doesn't get all of the, I mean, this is a parody of science fiction, so maybe he doesn't get it all, but it might still be fun. So I've been reading this to my son, so we have read the first book and we are reading the second one now, and I hope we'll get to the 5th one. We won't before the competition is over, but I think I'm hoping that by the time I have to return it to the library, then I hope we have had time to read all 5 books. But it's been really so much fun to just, we read 1 or 2 chapters every evening, and we laugh together, and I'm not sure if he gets all the funny things, but he does get many of them, and it's been really nice to just read the book together and enjoy that mom and son time. Yeah, and I also have something that I have finished. So I have my kaiku shawl or kaiku wrap that I was working on, the larger version. So I have now I have a larger and a smaller sample, and the smaller one was, the pattern for the smaller one was already published, and that pattern has been tested, but now I would need to find test knitters for the larger one, and this one is going to be published in English and in Finnish, so I would need both English speaking and Finnish speaking test knitters. So please check my Ravelry group for more information on that. I'll add a link to the YouTube page, so you can find a link there. Yeah, and if you are wondering what I'm wearing, this is my Steller Tunic. I published the pattern, I think it was in the fall, so maybe it's more like a summer pattern, and it's finally starting to cool down here in Finland, so you can wear something like this. So this is knitted in alpaca linen yarn. This is BC Garn's Colory yarn, and yeah, it's a top-down tunic. You start by knitting I think the back shoulders and then the front shoulders, and then you increase for the sleeves and continue down. And I'll just add a couple of pictures, since it's a long tunic and you can't really see all of it in the video, but I'll add a couple of pictures in the end. So, but that's, yeah, I think that's about it for the Tour de Sock competition at the moment. So I'm working on the stage 3 socks, and stage 4 is going to start next Friday, and this one is going to have a, let's say, European friendly kickoff time, as it's going to be midnight CDT, and that's 8 AM Helsinki time. So all Finnish knitters would have the advantage of being able to knit all day after after the instructions or the pattern being published. So yeah, and that's gonna be in 2 colors. So that's gonna be something that I'll show you next week. So yeah, maybe let's see if I have something else also going on. I don't think that this alignment sweater will be finished by next week, but I'll show you what I'm working on next week. So see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.